Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, Bitcoin is back on track. Crypto is back on track, as we all anticipated it will do. I mean, Bitcoin is here to stay, despite the powers that be that's driving a whole lot of FUD. We know Bitcoin is freedom. It means owning something that is near and dear for so many people. And you know what? It's something that we need to continue. We need to continue to. I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I'm going with it, but anyways, it's looking good. It's mimicking a previous recovery, so I'm gonna get to it. Sorry about that. I had a good thought process, and I just kind of screwed that up. But anyways, today is looking good. So let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin. The powers that be that I've been talking about pulling the strings. Well, they're losing grip. I'm going to show you more on why they are losing grip and getting more fearful. But also, talk about what's going on right now and how the recovery that we're seeing, or this Bitcoin coming back up, is very, very similar to a previous low that wasn't too long ago. So let's do this. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's do this. Welcome. Let me change my screen here. All right, here we go. Here we go. So Bitcoin is, of course, doing better. Today it's up almost 9%, so about 39.9 right now. Unfortunately, it was higher. It went up as high as 41. I think 41. Now it's coming down a little bit, but overall, it's still moving in the right direction. And last night when I was streaming, I think we hit 38 something, or 39, but of course this morning we went a little bit higher. That's because we have some very positive news today. And also a lot of fear, but not from the retail side. No, fear from the big boys, the ones that are controlling things, the ones that are pulling the strings. They're not liking what they're seeing. They're not liking what they're seeing. So some of you guys may have picked up this. So I have a new article on CryptosRUs.com that talks about Brazil. There's this new committee, and not new, new to me. There's this new committee called Brazil Committee that published documents yesterday that was warning the G7 meeting that's ongoing right now, right? Warning all the countries that, hey, we need crypto regulations, and we need it right now. Right? And I'm like, wow. So what is this committee? Like, who forms it? Well, this Brazil committee, well, first of all, their document's about 25 pages long, and it's part of an ongoing investigation by the groups associated with the Bank of International Settlements, BIS. Okay. So they're associated with the bank, and if you look, they actually work with independent agencies, independent in quotes, such as the IMF, the European Commission, the European Banking Authority, as well as the International Settlement, or Bank of International Settlement. So basically, what is this committee? It's a committee of banks. That's what it is. It's a committee of banks that is trying to warn the G7, you better watch out for Bitcoin, right? We better put on some heavy regulations. Basically, they're trying to cause more FUD. They're trying to cause more FUD. And, this is why I've been going on about this for last few weeks. Actually, you could argue even longer than that. These guys behind the scenes, okay, mostly people who control money, they're really fearful of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin movement. They don't want you or anyone else or even countries to break free from them. That's what this is all about. You know, IMF, they loan money to the poor countries of the world, supposedly helping them, supposedly getting them out of poverty and this and that. Well, you know what? Those money given is not free. There's loans, there's strings attached, which is why the IMF does not like El Salvador going Bitcoin, because they're like, no, we don't want that. You guys belong to us. You took our money, so you listen to us, right? That is what they're fearing, that one after another, all these countries that's within their grasp is about to break free, right? European Central Bank also said it yesterday. And now you have this Basel committee that is made up of banks trying to tell the countries the same thing, right? So these are like top level guys, but I've been telling you guys the same thing about banks, about hedge funds, investment companies, the ones that's driving a lot of FUD. They're trying to control you. They don't want you to attain life-changing wealth through holding Bitcoin, something that they don't control, something that was created out of thin air 12 years ago. And they just don't quite understand it. They don't know how to shut it down. So what they're doing is trying to keep things low as much as they can so that they can accumulate and try to regain that power. But that's why we need to ignore it. We don't want to fall for it, right? So it goes all the way, top down, wherever, the big players that control all the money. And look at this, right? Here's another country, Tanzania. Now their president is urging their central bank to prepare for crypto. So El Salvador's move has really set off this movement. Now you have a lot of countries. Yes, these are poor countries, third world countries, but that's where this is more important, you could argue, because these are the countries that are in the grasp of the IMF and all these other banks out there, or the World Bank, and they want to break free, just like you and I, from our chains of our normal daily jobs, right? They're trying to do the same. So Tanzania is looking at embracing Bitcoin as well and just going all out. And of course, there's all these other countries that are looking to do the same thing. This is a movement. This is a big movement. And these are countries with millions and millions and millions and millions of citizens. I just covered one yesterday about Nigeria. Over 220 million users. Citizens. So this is really starting a movement. So pay attention. I think as time goes on, especially this latter half of this year, I think we're going to hear more and more and more about countries that's ready or going to fully embrace Bitcoin. And this is going to be a big thing, a big thing. All right, now what else is there? Well, let's look at someone like Paul Tudor Jones, who came out and said today that basically to buy anything that can hedge against inflation. Paul Tudor Jones, we know, is a Bitcoin bull now. Now, he didn't go all in, not 100%. But he came out last year, I think it was late last year or early this year, and said that, you know what, I'm buying Bitcoin because it has a network effect. It mimics technology from like the early internet days. Plus, I'm really concerned about inflation. And that has not changed. In fact, concerns about inflation has gone up since last year. Way up, because the Fed and everyone else is still printing more and more money, right? So basically he came on and did an interview today and said, you know what, I advocate everyone to put 5% into Bitcoin, right? I think inflation is going to get worse. He wants to see what Powell and his buddies say this week, because if they're still not going to do anything about the current rise of prices, you know what, then he's like, yeah, this is definitely time to go basically all in on assets that hedge against inflation. And what he's referring to, and some of you guys may have caught this, is the CPI, Consumer Price Index, which is the index to measure how expensive certain things are, like food and so forth, but it doesn't measure everything. The CPI that came out last year shows that inflation is at a 13-year high, but hourly wages is at the lowest since 21st century. So wages is down while inflation is up. What do you think that means? That's bad. That's bad. That means people can't afford what they normally could before, right? So this is showing that, yeah, inflation is real. Even though on something on a CPI that doesn't measure a lot of things, like your homes, for example, right? It mostly measures like food and like detergent and stuff like that. But there's a lot of things it doesn't measure. And if you calculate everything else, inflation is way, way higher. Way, way, way higher, right? So this is, of course, another reason why we need to hold Bitcoin, because it is a store of value. One of the great use cases for Bitcoin, not only as a medium exchange, but as a store of value. Something that will store the value. Store your wealth, I guess. Protect your wealth. Because if you have a whole bunch of cash sitting around, and it's great to have cash sitting around when you can buy back in and dollar cost average, I recognize that. But if you have a ton of cash sitting around and just sitting there in the bank, not collecting any interest and just basically inflating to nothing, right? That's bad. And that's what a lot of these billionaires, what they're trying to do is preserve their wealth. And they're doing so with Bitcoin too, which is why you have so many prominent Wall Street guys that have come out and have endorsed Bitcoin for the same reasons. Now, I don't think they care so much about, they don't care about personal freedom and stuff like that, but they do care about preserving the wealth, which is important as well. All right, what else is there? Of course, MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, they're going to complete their $500 million buy, supposedly today. I don't know if it's been confirmed that it is going to be today, but we know that's coming. So they raised another $500 million. I'm surprised Michael didn't go up more, because supposedly he got $1.6 billion worth of offers, but he only accepted $500 million, which is weird. He could have accepted all $1.6 billion. But this is a pretty good time. This is a pretty good time to buy when Bitcoin is still around 40,000. The last few purchases from MicroStrategy has all been in 50s or above, right? So now we're actually in the little bit below 40,000. We're at 39,991, right? So if he does buy it today, that's pretty darn good. I still want to see him buying a spot market, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. He's buying OTC, so probably won't drive price up at all. But had he put, this order on Coinbase, Bitcoin maybe be above 50,000 already. So this is also coming. And then what else is there? Mark Cuban says that DeFi could be the next great growth engine for the U.S. And I would argue not for the U.S., but for us, retail investors. I recognize that Bitcoin is probably the greatest wealth generator of our time. And you could argue still going forward, it still is. But the reason why I believe in altcoins, why I'm not 100% Bitcoin maximus, is because I do believe DeFi is here to stay. I just look at what's coming with DeFi, and I can't even imagine the things that will be used. Like right now, we could see the basics. DeFi basically eliminates banks. What does a bank do really, right? They provide you loans. But they do a lot of credit checks, background checks, and how much net worth, your salary, all that stuff, right? Stuff that may be irrelevant, but they need to do all that. They provide loans, and they allow you to earn interest. Okay, if you put down, some money into a CD or a savings account, but we know those interests are like almost next to nothing, almost at zero. And that's really all the bank does. I mean, there's very little use cases. You could get a debit card, which is really irrelevant these days. And you have an account where you can do a lot of electric transfers. You can pay bills and stuff like that. But ultimately, they're about loans and gaining interest or earning interest, right? That's what DeFi does. DeFi already does those things, except it does it easier and more efficiently, right? With DeFi, you don't need to do a credit check. You don't need a background history. As long as you have collateral, yes, you could take a loan against your collateral. It's that simple. You know, that's the funny thing with banks. Even if you had collateral, they don't allow you to take a loan against it. You know, you went into a bank, you have $1 million in cash, you're like, hey, I want to take out a loan against this. They're going to say, no, we're not going to do it, right? See, it's like, it's just so complicated. With DeFi, they will allow you to do it. And you know what? With DeFi, in terms of earning interest, wow, even BlockFi gives you up to 10% interest. But what about everything else out there? Like Aves and compounds in the world, or even yield farmings, right? They're like double digits or triple digits, sometimes even quadruple digits, which I don't advise, but still it does exist, right? So borrowing and earning is already there, and it's only going to evolve. So that's why I believe in altcoins. I think all these chains right now that have so much going on, they're driven by DeFi. And we know that's not going to stop. And this is only going to evolve. And we have other sectors that's also getting very big as well, such as NFTs, right? So I agree. Not only for the US, but really for you. All right. Lastly, I want to show you guys this. Okay, Bitcoin's back above $40,000, $40,180. It's the George effect. This is why the market is coming back up. I'm 60% certain of that. All right, so I wanted to show you guys how this, right now, our recovery mimics what happened in 2020 in March. Like right now, if you zoom in at this time frame, and an hour time frame doesn't look like it. It just looks like, well, we just recovered up. Well, what about 4 hours? Come on. All right, 4 hours. We're still kind of stuck in this range, right? We're still stuck between this 43 and 30, although we're getting higher. Let's see if we can break through 43 today. That would be a big accomplishment. But, you know, what about if we zoom out a little more? Let's go to the day. The day, okay, still looks like we're kind of going sideways. What about we go to week? Actually, I don't like this chart. Let's look at it this way. So let's go to right here. Let's go to the week. And, you know, look at it. I'm going to just remove all the lines here. We don't need all these silly lines everywhere. But look at what happened last year, right? This is March of 2020. This is not 5 years ago, not 3 years ago. This is about one year, 3 months ago, when we had that black swan event where Bitcoin did fall, and we had capitulation at that point where people literally gave up because Bitcoin went from about 10,000 all the way down to about 3,800, right? Big candlesticks, and guess what? We had that V-shaped recovery right afterwards. Now, it was not within a day. It wasn't within a week even. It took some time. It went from March all the way to May, so about 2 months, But we did have that V-shaped recovery, and had you panic sold at that time, you would have made one of the worst decisions, or one of the worst financial decisions you would have ever made, or you have made in your life, because you would have lost out on potential gains from 3,800 all the way to 64,000. So think about that. So had you panic sold, this would have been a horrible idea. But you could see that Bitcoin came back up, right back up, V-shaped recovery within about 2 month time frame. So if you look at this and look at this, we're very similar. Many calls what we just went through a capitulation phase, one that drove out a whole bunch of retail people that came in, didn't really understand what they were getting involved with, thought you could become a millionaire overnight. Well, I would say some did literally become a millionaire from some of the meme coins really quickly. But for everyone else, they didn't, and then they got feared out. They panic sold, which is why altcoins got decimated within the last few weeks, right? But you could see our trajectory, our path to recovery is very similar. Maybe not as aggressive as 2020, but you could see we're starting to move up. You could see some of these indicators like MACD on the weekly scale. You could see it's starting to turn. It's starting to turn. In fact, I made note of this, that MACD on the weekly for Bitcoin has never been this low. This is like all-time low. You could see it even previous years. It didn't even register versus what we're seeing now. So this is turning around, right? And you can see stochastic is very low. RSI is turning around. But most importantly, I think this pattern right here is very similar to before. And I'm bringing this up because I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to go back up because this pattern is looking the same. No. Because I'm bringing it up because Bitcoin goes through these periods all the time. You know, recently I got really pissed at some people saying that Bitcoin is in a bear market. No, it's not. Bitcoin is not in a bear market. We're in a bull cycle. We're in a bull run, despite the fact that, yeah, we did have a correction. We had a scare moment. We had a capitulation moment, right? But it doesn't mean that this run is over. No, not by any standard. Just look at everything I've been telling you guys about, right? Obviously, the institutional adoption, the public adoption, public traded company adoption, retail adoption, people are getting stronger and smarter and holding, right? Now we have countries adopting it. I mean, come on. When you have countries adopting Bitcoin, what else can you say? You just really can't be bearish at this time. If you are, you're just not getting it, or you're doing it wrong. You really can't, right? So there's been many periods where Bitcoin, goes through some scary drops, and you could argue, well, this was not in crypto. This is not a bull market yet. This is in crypto winter. Well, not really. That was actually the start. Because that's when the halving event came. So that was actually the start of the bull market. So you could argue that very similar to there. And, I've been saying, look at the last run up. These are all drastic drops. These are not small drops. And they took a while to recover, but Bitcoin did, right? And I don't think Bitcoin is anywhere near top. I think we are going to see recovery. Maybe it takes a couple months. Maybe we don't recover all the way back to 64,000 right away. But it could be something similar to this, where it takes us a couple months out, right? Going into August or September, and we have that next leg up, right? But this is the reason why you don't want to give up, because Bitcoin goes through this. It just does. There will be times where it's scary, it comes back down, but keep in mind, there's many times where this happens, where we have tremendous runs, life-changing wealth runs. Some of you guys that went through this with Bitcoin and with altcoins, you have built life-changing wealth. And I'm telling you, there's going to be more of that. There's going to be more of that when we continue back upwards, right? All right, that is pretty much it. Overall, BTC Dominance came down a little bit, so that's encouraging. 43.6%, despite the fact that Bitcoin is above 40,000. It didn't eat away all the liquidity for an entire market, so retail investors are coming back, which is very positive. We want to see that. We definitely want to see it. In fact, you can see the overall global market cap is up 11% today, while Bitcoin is up about 9%. So there you go, it gained 2%, right? 2%, which is why BTC Dominance came down. So, just yesterday morning, I came out of the video, undervalued altcoins. There's still a lot of it. Some of them are showing true strength, trying to recover. But a lot of them are still very, very, very down, especially compared to the previous highs from just a few weeks ago. So plenty of bargains to be had. All right, let's do some Q&A. Oh, someone mentioned about short squeeze. That's interesting. Let me check the liquidations on shorts today. Yeah. So you could see the past few days, the shorts right here, $210 million of shorts being liquidated yesterday. Today, about 114. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. You could see the past few weeks, way too much red. That's longs being liquidated. We want to see the shorts being liquidated. We haven't seen a gigantic pump yet, but if Bitcoin continues to pump today, tomorrow, this week, it goes back up to 42, 43, 45, and it starts really escalating. We're going to see these greens, the short liquidations really start increasing. We want to see something like this giant red, candlestick. We want to see the opposite of that. We need to see a giant green one on the flip side. That is what we're looking for. All right. Tony, welcome, and for everyone else, spreading positive vibes and turning everyone into Georges out there. I appreciate it. I do. Marcel says the inverted hammer candle and bullish divergence playing out exactly as predicted. Polkadot is getting listed on Coinbase as you are live now. Okay, great. You know, some people asked about Solana. Solana was supposed to be added, and then I read in their tweet, like Coinbase's Twitter, they tweeted something about something. There's a technical difficulty, which is why it was not added. But I'm assuming they're still going to add it. But obviously, they were supposed to add Solana, but they added Dogecoin, and then they added a few others like AMP and so forth, and now it looks like they are adding Polkadot. Gino, thank you, appreciate you as well. Caliber neutral. I love having George in my life. Feels like a strict father who prevents me from doing stupid-ish. Then I feel stupid-ish when I feel like he would say, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Hey, that's what you know what? I just basically tell you guys how it is. I mean, that's one of the I think good and faults of mine is I like to make all the mistakes first. And then I like to tell other people how to avoid those mistakes. I honestly do. Anything I get into, I dive head in foolishly and maybe too proactively or too bullishly. And it doesn't have to be with crypto, just anything. Like I go all in, and I make so many mistakes. I lose a lot of money, but every time I learn from that, right? And I've gone through a lot of these things with investing with stocks, crypto, previous winters, previous cycles. I'm just telling you guys what I've been through, man. And I've been liquidated before. That's why I tell you guys the dangers of liquidation and how it feels like. I've been through it. It's like none of this stuff is good. And as newcomers coming in, you're drawn to it because you're drawn to fast money. I was drawn in 2013 because I wanted fast money, and that's not how you prosper. David asks, serious question: how do we borrow against our BTC to buy a house or a car? What is the best way? Whew. There's no good answer for that because I would highly recommend not to do that. Because when you borrow against your Bitcoin, even though in most situations you should be okay, but there is a chance you get margin called. And if you use that money to buy a house, for example, and you get margin called and you don't have enough collateral to put back in or money to put back in, then they start liquidating your BTC. So that's not a good thing. If you're going to do it, you must be 100% certain. 100% certain that if you do get margin called, you're going to be okay. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up to get wrecked. Okay, I'm just giving you that warning. So I don't stress you do that. I don't. But, you know, there are a lot of companies that allow you to do that, including my sponsor, BlockFi. They do allow you to borrow against your collateral, like BTC. And I think the interest rate is pretty low, like 4.5%. Right? But there are a lot of places that lets you do it, but be careful, especially if you go buy a house with it. How are your NFTs on data coming along? They sent me an email, I replied. I haven't heard back, so hopefully we could get something sooner than later. So I haven't heard anything else. My son is Joyji. I think that's how you say it. Do you have an opinion on any newer coins? Like what? A lot of these newer coins, I'm telling you, a lot of these, I get pitched every day, 20, 30 companies, okay, projects. And a lot of them are just quite bad. Most of them, in fact, are bad. They're all just copies of each other. Mostly a new deflationary coin that is supporting charity or something like that. Most of them are like that, or some kind of new copy of an AMM. Again, yeah, there's just not a whole lot of really new coins that's really fascinating to me. I think for most part, the ecosystem is pretty saturated, although there are some new ones that are promising, but like a lot of them just, I don't know, they're just not very impressive at all. I bought VET and put into savings on Binance and notice I'm getting VET VThor airdrops. That's what you do. You get VThor airdrops. Just same thing like if you hold NEO, you get gas drops. Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. The more VET you have, the more VThor you get. Joseph, maybe, but probably not. No offense. Coin is swap. It doesn't even show up. Sorry, Chaotic. It doesn't even show up. It's probably too new. Thomas, yes. Thoughts on Anchor? Haven't talked about much about them. I'm not a big fan of Anchor, and mostly they're just it's just like decentralized hosting for your nodes. So I mean, it serves a purpose. It's not free. You have to pay for it, and they make it easier. But I think hardcore guys will just run their own nodes. You don't need to be on Anchor for that. So I'm just neutral on them. Shout out to Victor Balon, and thanks to Jose Castaneda. Okay. You guys know I'm not good at names, so shout out to both of you guys, Victor and Jose. Have you looked into ETH options ending in June 24th? No. I don't think ETH options really drive the market. I heard something, I read something about that. It's like big expirations coming for ETH, but right now I still think BTC is driving the market, not ETH. Is it too early to drink White Claws? Well, depends on where you are. I guess you could argue it's 5 o'clock somewhere. What do you think about Exodus stock? I don't know about that. Ethereum Max? Nope. Stick with Ethereum. Ken, appreciate that. Do you know what the G7 said about BTC? No. I didn't hear anything about the G7, what they said. Other than this Brazil committee, I didn't hear anything else. Would it be a smart move to move my bank account savings into USDC, 9% on Voyager? I mean, if you don't, okay, anything has a risk, okay? So know that anything out there has a risk. But if you have money and it's just sitting in a bank account and you think it's just not doing anything, you might as well use it for, you might as well earn some passive, income from it, right? So you could do that on Voyager, you could do that on BlockFi, you could do that on Celsius, you could do that in a lot of places. Globe DX, I have no idea. No idea who. Dustin, appreciate that. Bradley, appreciate it. Matic, Polygon, I've said it many times. Many times. They are on a roll. They're really on a roll. You know, people have asked me, hey, shout out to John Hopkins. Hey, John. People have asked me, hey, if Ethereum, you know, turns up 2.0, what's going to happen to Polygon and possibly Harmony and anyone else? Well, it really depends on if they can build out their ecosystem in the meantime. If they get enough dApps on top of their chain, they'll be fine. And Polygon is doing that right now, so I don't think they're going to go away. What else is there? The man, I sent an email about possible sponsorship. It says possible sponsor. If I saw it and I didn't respond, so unfortunately that would probably be no. So I don't remember reading that email, but I'll take a look at it again. Hey George, BTC ETH, ADA, which big projects do you think will still be relevant in 24, 25? I don't know. BTC is the only one out of the three that is guaranteed to be relevant. ETH and ADA, not guaranteed to be relevant in 2024. Although it's most likely they will be, but it's not guaranteed. IOTA 2.0, they did great progress, solved a trilemma. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that trilemma is. I didn't pay attention to the rollout yet, so I don't know what they actually fixed. But they were supposed to talk to me, and then I haven't heard back from them, so I don't know. They might be busy. Yeah, ICP I'm not a fan of, Gary. They were too overhyped, and there are some question marks about the project. Their governance system, you know, based on time staking is questionable. A lot of their enterprise nodes is in data centers. There's an ID system rather than wallet addresses. They use like an ID system, which again, I mean, there's just a few things that they do that I'm not a fan of. Thoughts on Ecomi as deflation aspects? What's your favorite color? Green. I do like Ecomi. Mostly because they have licenses. AMP on Coinbase. Any comments? No, I don't. I've been asked about 100 million times. No, it's a good project. That's it. Being added on Coinbase doesn't change anything. The only crypto worth buying on Robinhood is ETH and BTC. You know what? You should not be on Robinhood at all. You know, you should be on Webull instead. because I know a lot of people hate Robinhood for the shenanigans they pulled, and if you look deep, it is kind of iffy. But yeah, if you're going to be holding on, you know, to a few basic crypto, of course, you got to hold BTC and ETH. I think it's a good hold. Yeah. We need to address the Elon elephant. No, I addressed it last night. We don't need to address it anymore. Check out Defend Bitcoin is fighting against institutional naked shorts on BTC. I don't think that exists. I don't think institutional naked shorts actually exist on BTC. There's shorts. There's no naked shorts. Unless prove me otherwise, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What do you think about Cartesi? I don't know. It's like a layer 2 for DeFi. Kind of Oracle system as well. I don't know that much about it, but it wasn't that impressive to me. All right, last few questions. Kylan is basically Chainlink for Polkadot seems very undervalued to me. Well, there's a couple of things. Number one is Polkadot is not completely done until all the parachains gets turned up. Number two, right now, Polkadot projects don't really pump. Like none of the ones. Polka started, I think, is the biggest one because of IDOs, but even then, it hasn't gone up that much. So Polkadot right now, honestly, the two that actually moves the most is Polkadot and Kusama. Kusama has moved more than Polkadot. And in terms of Chainlink or oracles, I still think Chainlink is the way to go. Chainlink is going to integrate with Polkadot. There's no doubt about it. That is going to happen. So I don't know if something else can compete. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Overall, you know what? Bitcoin is doing good. It's doing good, right? From day to day, hour to hour, it could go up and down. You know what? There's a lot of movement, but overall, you just want to focus long term. You want to focus on Bitcoin and crypto as a long-term investment. You're in for life-changing wealth. You're in because you want freedom. You want to break through the chains. And that is what it's going to do. As long as you have the conviction and obedience and strength to continue forward. As long as you can ignore the media-driven FUD and you can ignore everyone else that is trying to spread panic, right? You just have to get through it, ignore it, and you'll do just fine. You'll do just fine. Just remember, HODL, dollar cost average, and that's it. That's it. All right, thanks for tuning in. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and tune in tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Take care, guys. Bye-bye.